A showdown of wit between the blue commander and I. A battlefield with wide front and no reserves. I retreat my tanks to the cities and rotate them south, as they are as good as useless in the forest. In swift order, I guard my cities, as a city snipe is an insta-loss. My wise opponent does the same, settling in for a titanic struggle. I draw my front line into the mobile wedge, while my opponent keeps a straight frontier with no weak points. Meanwhile, we are both busy defending cities and not starting an attack yet. Here we have the calm before the storm, as both players finish up opening maneuvers before an attack is launched. I withdraw my north wing, anticipating a blue attack. As both sides contemplate for their next moves, we both use the unit to assess the enemy position. I draw my north wing closer to center in order to fight on battlegrounds in case of a blue attack. As my tanks arrive menacingly in the south, I prepare to start some positive trade skirmishing in the southern choke points. It is here where the first casualty comes. Meanwhile, blue is outnumbered in the southern frontier, with the mountain giving difficulties in maneuverability. Blue gives some ground, but I did not chase, fearing overextension. The blue units are locally outnumbered 2-1, taking massive casualties before reinforcements arrive. I chose not to chase the defeated enemy, as that will get me outflanked and encircled by the city's zone of control. Blue starts a counterattack, while licking the wounds for the damaged troops. I cycle my tank out of city to create counterplay in the southernmost choke point. The opening skirmish in the south was a mini victory for me, as I forced blue to retreat from the choke points and now have 5,000 more troops. Unfortunately, it is not good to push further in the south, as it will risk encirclements that can lose my entire army in the south. The skirmishes pause for a bit, then resumes, but I have to withdraw my infantry units back to choke point to prevent getting trapped by flanking attacks. Both sides are too focused on economy to prepare massive attacks. In the south, blue successfully concealed their weakness by hiding reserve units and threatening flanks, so I withdraw to the choke points and start healing my troops instead of keep attacking. Here I take a breath and start planning my next moves while cycling my troops to heal in the south. Blue appears to have more troops in the north than me, and they form a line without clear weaknesses to exploit, so skirmishes are not going to be favorable for me. So in the north, I want Blue to come attack me, get overextended, and my mobile reserves will threaten their supplies. In the south, it looks like I have an advantage, but it is still hard to push for the two cities without taking heavy risks. Blue now starts an attack towards my northern city, nearly trapping my one scout infantry. They march unopposed until they run into my irregular battle line, while the city fortified with a tank will serve as a strong anchor point for me. By the time the blue units reach my line, they're in a disorganized formation with an ineffective front line. I started making new units by moving my city reserves to join the battle in order to exploit this opportunity to cripple Blue's northern front. The Blue heavies are almost completely useless, as their slow speed and low damage in forest terrain make them easy targets for encirclements. Now, elements of the Blue North are getting outflanked, encirclements threatened, and have no choice but to flee for their lives. Here, there is going to be a period of peace, as both sides are busy making more troops using the funds. I decided to heal up my units and get well prepared before launching a counterattack, while Blue units are still in the overextended positions. Meanwhile, the extra troops move out of cities provided me extra mobile reserves, which will be an absolutely lethal weapon in my hands. So I came up with a plan here, as my reserves are concealed behind the fog of war. I will take Blue by surprise, one that is too swift to react to. Limited tactical victories already gives me the advantage, but Blue is nowhere close from being knocked out. The Blue South is invisible to me, but their weakness can only hide so long. I send a unit to scout the Blue defenses in the south, seeing them not having enough troops to cover the front line. Then, in the cover of the fog of war, 40,000 of my infantry reserve troops sweep across the field with a blitzkrieg prepared. Meanwhile, Blue is still chilling, not realizing the danger that looms. 120,000 red troops are preparing to flood through the 80,000 Blue troops in the south, while the Blue tank, being 20,000 troops, remains in the open without protective flanks instead of being on the city. A fatal mistake. But there's a catch. Now my north and center have inferior troop numbers, giving Blue a local advantage to attack me. It is only a matter of time before Blue realizes my maneuver. Now the decisive moment approaches. Who is quicker? Here we begin, the decisive attack. I spread out my troops to fill the front line to maximize the numerical superiority. My tanks are shredding a blue infantry unit as we speak, and gaps in the blue line form too quickly for blue to form any effective resistance. While the blue troops are melting away in the south, blue decided to attack my obviously weakened northern front. A carnage is about to begin, with a city race which will decide the fate of the entire battle. Blue's city reserves are full health and ready to join the fight in the north, while I have less than enough troops to repel this offensive. In the north, I pulled my troops into a tight formation around my city to hold out as long as I possibly can, while blue got one troop encircled for some time, which will slow down the offensive. Meanwhile, the south keeps deteriorating for blue, as all hangs in this volatile balance. The blue infantry units collapsed in the south, leaving the tank outflanked and encircled. 20,000 fresh troops perished without a fight, crippling the last asset blue has to resist in the south. In the north, blue surrounds my city and hits it from all directions, while I desperately maintain cohesion in my stranded line. My north holds out as the blue tank units are less effective in forest terrain, and I place my troops in such a way that my city will be attacked last. In the south, I take one of Blue's cities, and there is nobody to defend the second city. Blue reserve units pour into the south to retake the lost city, but the zone of control of the city allows me to easily surround and destroy the blue reserves with simple double pincer maneuvers. I also swiftly began to sweep out the last remnants of blue resistance on the second city, so I can end up bringing those reserves to rescue the north. The city loss also cripples the blue economy and boosting my economy, allowing me to mass mobilize troops with extra economy and cities to overwhelm the rest of the blue army. My unengaged units from the center marched north to threaten a mass encirclement against the blue north. This is intended to force blue to withdraw units from my city to protect the supply lines, as blue north is dangerously overextended. Blue decided to ignore the threat, which leads to a massive encirclement in the north that will turn the tide in that entire frontier. Blue now commits more of the dwindling reserves to the south as a last-ditch effort, but it is too little, too late. The brief encirclement in the north caused massive casualties to Blue and buys time for me to send my own relief force to the north, wiping out the last hope for Blue, sealing the victory. I decided to block the choke point in the south and send the rest of my army north. The Blue North is going to be wiped out by the encirclement. Around my northern city, 70,000 men resisted until this moment. Only around 8,000 survived the carnage. To avenge the perished, a massive counterattack is launched across the open field in the north to finish off the game. The game would end with me using my superior numbers to encircle and destroy the unengaged Blue center. And Blue will surrender as the Blue army no longer exists on this field. A few closing remarks. First, the map has lots of forest terrain, so tanks are defensive on cities only instead of being used elsewhere. The mountain in the south makes Blue harder to reinforce the defenders in the south, but Blue may have an advantage in the center, which can hopefully refute this. At the end, this map is huge and open, so it depends a lot on making good maneuvers and exploiting local advantages instead of superior cycling in the choke points. I wish you enjoy watching this satisfying cleanup of the battlefield. If you made it this far into the video, thank you. Which not many people will, as the short attention span these days makes the sidebar ever more appealing. Please leave a like and subscribe, as that will mean a lot to a small content creator like me. I am relatively new and inexperienced here, so I will very appreciate comments that help me improve my content, as a small viewer base allows me to read and respond to each one.